Shumaila is going to be joining us soon. There she is. Hello.
Hi. Hi, Alka. How are you doing?
I am doing pretty well. I'm so sorry. I was talking to my husband and I suddenly realized, oh, it's time for me to join the live.
I know I kept looking at my watch because I didn't want to be late. And I've been waiting for this for so long and I'm so excited. I have your book here.
Oh, yay. It's gorgeous. You know,
I
they did
know,
such a
right? Just look
beautiful
at the cover.
they did such a beautiful job on the cover. You know,
They
I
did.
I had nothing to do with the cover, but I was so surprised and so happy when they came up with that cover. I think they did such a beautiful job at the publishers.
It's quite striking because when you look at the cover, especially the red, it just strikes. It's very striking. I absolutely loved it. And of course, it goes without saying, I know I've hounded you a lot and I've kept tagging you in so many pictures and so many stories that everyone go read this book because I just couldn't stop gushing about it.
Oh,
Thank you
Shumaila,
so
thank
much
you.
for this interview.
Well, thank you so much for supporting the book. One of the coolest things about
Yeah,
writing this book that I hadn't even anticipated is how
yeah,
many people around the world find some sort of solace in the book. They find a way to think about the world or a way to maybe re-examine their life. And I
yeah.
thought that, maybe it would reach Indian viewers, maybe it would reach Pakistani viewers, maybe some people in the US, but it has been global. The book is getting translated into 18 languages, which shows me that there are so many
Congratulations.
people
That's
in the world.
huge.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many readers who
I
are
think
finding something in the book that really appeals to them.
the first time that I found out about this book was through some of my Pakistani bookstagrammers, and they kept talking about this book, and I kept seeing it everywhere. So it has transcended boundaries.
Yeah. You know, I have Pakistani viewers who have also contacted me and said, the book is not available. You know, I can't find it anywhere. How can I get it? And then I had another Instagrammer contact me and said, I have like a free lending library. So I have all of these books and I have your book and
Yeah,
I loved it. And I am lending it out. So let people know that I have a lending. Isn't that wonderful that there's like a community lending library
it
of books?
is. Oh, that's the best, especially when you're in need of a book and you already have so many, and you just keep buying and hoarding things. So these libraries just. All right, so we're just going to dive deep into the questions because I have far too many for you. Starting with, I was really moved by your inspiration behind the story, your mother. So tell me something about her. What was she like?
My mother was actually really funny. So she had a great sense of
Yeah.
humor. I think she's way funnier than I am. And she and my husband, who also has a great sense of humor, were able to like communicate with each other in this really funny way. They would always be trading these quips and, we just laugh and laugh. My husband would set up on Friday nights a poker game, or any kind of card game that my mom liked to play.
Yeah.
And he would make margaritas, and she loved it. She just loved drinking the margaritas. And then we would, the three of us would play together.
Yeah.
And, she would just laugh and laugh whenever she would lose, whenever she would win. It didn't matter to her. She just really liked being around, her family. It was really
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
when she was younger, she did all the same things that I have mentioned in the henna artists that the women are doing in the 1950s. She read
Oh,
Look and Life and Reader's Digest, and she loved getting rides on scooters. And one time she got her sari wrapped in
wrapped
one of the
around.
wheels. Yeah, and she fell right off.
Oh my God.
But even in talking about that, she would laugh about it.
Yeah. She sounds like such a fun woman to be around. Like I would love to befriend her, just hang around with her.
Yeah. And I think that, she just really liked learning new things. So later in her
Hmm.
life, she learned how to make jewelry and then she just took off. And then she started teaching classes and how to make jewelry just for fun. Um,
Yeah.
and she took up swimming later in life because she
Yeah.
had never put her head underwater like that before. So, she
So
did
never
that. And
shying away from trying new things.
yes, yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons that I wanted to pay tribute to her, because I think the reason that I became very independent person and somebody who always wanted to follow my passion is because my mother encouraged me all the time to do that. She said, I'll never tell you what to do with your life or how to be, or, the kind of people that you should marry or anything like that. She said, your life is your own and you should have fun with it and be joyous with it. And I think that was a great message that she gave me. And I wanted to sort of pay tribute to her by writing this book and having Lakshmi look just like her and have her sort of spirit.
Yeah, such an amazing woman. Your mother, she passed away in 2012, right? And she's been such a huge part of your writing journey ever since you started writing it. So, how do you think she would have reacted to this huge reception that your book has received?
I think that mom would be just tickled pink, I think that she would,
Yeah,
yeah, I just think that, she would probably be here laughing and just sort of happily laughing about everything that has happened. Um, she always told me that I could do great things, always.
yeah,
And I think that there were many moments when I didn't believe her, especially moments when I was working in the corporate world and I wasn't getting recognition for what I really felt I deserved recognition
yeah,
for. And, there were moments when I felt really low in my self-esteem because I really felt that, I had potential, but I just didn't know how to realize it. And I had no idea that at this age, in my 60s, that I would be able to realize that potential. I had no idea that life can actually begin and
yeah.
great things can happen to you even in the later parts of your life.
Right.
So I thought that that was really phenomenal. And I don't know why that came as a surprise, because I think my mother was always showing me that you can learn new things and grow as a person no matter how old you
Completely.
are.
Yeah. I think for anybody who wants to be a writer, I'm kind of pointing at myself here, but I think it's such an inspiration to never give up and to keep trying. And I think that's how you grow.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to the profession you chose for our protagonist, Lakshmi, that of a henna artist. So, do you think that post-independent India also saw henna artists designing the same designs as Lakshmi did in the book?
No, actually, and I had been in Jaipur and asking my mother this same question while I was writing the book. I said, Mom, what were the kind of designs that you were experiencing, like when you got married in 1955? And she said, oh, the designs were so simple, Alka. They were, like they would do all of your, the tips of your
Yeah,
fingers, and then they would
yeah,
do like a big circle here, maybe a big circle back here, and that was it. She said it wasn't anything, more detailed than that. She said the kind of henna you have put in your book, nobody was doing at that time. But I told her that I wanted a henna artist who was doing something so different from what any other henna artist was doing, so that
yeah,
she could be paid 10 times more and she could actually be earning a living, very good living doing something like that, because I
yeah,
wanted her to be paying for that house, to be able to, buy a house, to be able to build a house that exactly was her character, In building the house,
yeah,
I think what she's really doing is building herself. She is paying homage to this journey that she has been on, how hard she has worked, and
yeah,
all of the symbols of her journey are on the floor of this house.
yeah.
So, when I
It was,
planned my book launch, Shamila, and it never happened, of course, because of COVID, because
yeah,
my book was released on March the 3rd, and I never had my book launch. But I hired a Kathak dancer so that she would dance that scene where Lakshmi is dancing around her house.
dancing.
Uh, yeah, and I had a tabla
Yeah.
player and I had a sitar player, planned to
Oh, how
accompany
beautiful.
her. Oh, it would have been so beautiful.
Yeah,
So maybe someday when the pandemic is over, I'll get a chance to reprise that on a stage somewhere. I would love to have that come to life.
that as you telling me all of the things and describing things, I have this visual image in my head also because I've read the book. So I can see how everything's falling into place. And also coming back to Lakshmi's character, I think her character arc is so far ahead of its time because of the decisions she makes and the way she stands up for herself because she has these bullies who just keep coming and trying to stifle her voice. And was this what you had in mind throughout the 10 years that it took you to write the book, or did your plot change as you went writing the book?
You know, it changed. It changed. And it's kind of
Oh,
interesting because the basic story stayed the same. The basic story was there was a woman named Lakshmi who wanted a life greater than she was allowed. And
mm,
she escaped the limited life that she was given so that she could form this independent life at the same time that India is gaining its independent
in,
footing in the world. So that was the basic story. But then as I began to write, I realized that really what I wanted to write about was the India of my youth in the 1950s. You know, the India that I came from was beautiful and graceful and proud and was so talented. You know, we had the Jaipur artisans making all of that beautiful jewelry. Everywhere you look, there is that intricate Mughal architecture and those really complicated jollies, you know, on every
yeah,
window. And then there is the beautiful food, you know, with color and spice and fragrances and ingredients that are really good for your whole body, you know, your skin and your
the herbal
bones and
remedies and
your
things. Yeah,
yeah. And I wanted to write about that India because I realized that really what I was doing was correcting some of the misperceptions that the United States had had about India when we came here as immigrants in the late
yeah,
1960s. And in the United States, you know, the idea of India, and I think this still persists in many minds today in the
yeah,
West, that India is, you know, a poverty-stricken, illiterate
certain
place,
countries. Yeah,
underdeveloped, uh, whereas the reality is that India has always been very literate, and that you know we've always had these amazing wealth of opportunity. We've always had these amazing talents that people around the world have wanted to grab from India. For example, you know, all the Mughals who came through India and
yeah,
dominated it for 5 centuries. That's what they were looking for, is all of the spices and the silks and the talent of the people. And then, you know, you have all of the European invaders, the British and the Portuguese and some of the French, and they came through, and
yeah,
that's what they were looking for also. And then you have the, you know, Alexander the Great and Marco Polo going across the north. And, you know, India
yeah,
has been alive and thriving for millennia. So I wanted to show why I think the India that I grew up in and the India that exists today is still thriving, because I think there is so
yeah.
much talent there among the people, and the people are so resilient. You know, no matter how many
They
invaders
are.
have come through India, you know, the country still manages and the people still manage to pull themselves up every single time and to
Yeah,
show the world what they can do.
yeah. The henna artist is very visual. So every time you would explain the even just the roads, and that's such it's so reminiscent of post-independent India. I was living vicariously through Lakshmi's eyes, and I think that's what you wanted to achieve too while you were writing the book.
Yes, yeah, I
That
really,
I
yeah, I wanted to
Yeah, please
achieve,
go on.
you
Yeah,
know, I wanted people to feel as if they were there, because I think that going to India anytime is such an overwhelming experience. It is so sensory. You know, the moment you step off the
yeah,
plane or a train or a car, you are assaulted with smells and sights and color
Yeah.
and flowers and you know, a million and one things going on in front of you.
Yeah.
And I wanted to capture what that kind of energy feels like.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you had that response to it. And every reader who has written to me has said that even if
Yeah.
they have never been to India, it makes them want to go.
They
Like
want to
they are ready to go
go.
now.
That's
They're ready to pack
exactly.
their
I
bags.
want to time travel right now. I want to time travel and go back just to live through that time. Probably get my hand designed and have some henna painted by Lakshmi, maybe, if that was possible. So, what surprised you the most about the grand reception you received? From being New York Times bestselling author to being part of Reese Witherspoon's book club, were you expecting this at all?
My publisher had always planned for this to be a big book club book. You know, they said this is the kind of
Okay.
book that has so many layers. I'm talking about the life of the women in that time. I'm talking about politics. I'm talking about the exuberance of the Indians post-independence. And I'm also talking a little bit about, you know, how they are feeling about the West and
Yeah.
the things, you know, the fact that they are
Recovering from the
setting,
British Raj rules also.
yeah. So there are so many layers that you, and then there's all the layer of the herbal remedies that Lakshmi uses that people really
Yeah.
love. So there's all of these different layers. And so my publisher said this would be a great book for book clubs because they can really dissect so much in this book. There's so much to talk about. And so I was kind of surprised in the beginning that, first of all, they thought that, you know, there was so much that they could
Yeah.
talk about in the
That.
book.
Yeah.
It was, you know, for me, it was a labor of love. For me, I was putting things in the book that I wanted to convey to people. I didn't know that it would have such a global appeal. And so when Reese Witherspoon picked up the book during the pandemic, when people couldn't even find it in a bookstore, they were all closed, or a
Yeah.
library, they were all closed. You know, Reese Witherspoon really helped make this an amazing, known book. It could easily have died during the pandemic, but I think she did a great service to both the women whose books she picks for her book club. And also, I think just to me, I mean, that was amazing that she picked this book and that she loved it so much and she wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
So that really
I
catapulted the
agree when you
book
say
back.
that this was, yeah.
It catapulted the book back into the global spotlight. And I think since then, you know, it became the New York Times bestseller and an LA bestseller and Toronto Globe and Mail bestseller and, you know, all of that. And I think,
Yeah.
Shumaila, one of the most surprising things has been that I was featured in both Vogue India and Harper's Bazaar India, fashion
Oh my
magazines
God,
I never ever thought I would
congratulations.
ever be in.
See, another feather added to the list of all the good things that you've done so far. I think when you say that this makes a perfect book for a book club, I think there are so many things that I can think of right now from the caste hierarchy that you mentioned that was so subtly there throughout the book. Women empowerment, uh, I remember annotating the book and writing down, and I was like, how is it possible to have so many themes in one book and to do justice to each one of them? And I think I read this, and so many reviews that I read said the same thing because you managed to cover every topic and every theme that was going on at that point of time so perfectly.
And I think that the way that I wanted to do it was to have these themes woven in organically. So none of them became the central theme of the book. None of them became,
Yeah,
oh, so this book is about the caste system, or this book is about,
exactly.
you know, the patriarchy, or this book is about, you know,
Yeah,
independence. I wanted the book to really have these themes woven in very organically because that's the way we live life, right? We go on about our lives, and every single day we encounter all of these ways in which people are, all of these ways
yeah,
in which people you know, coexist and manage to straddle all of the different worlds that they have to straddle in any given day. So I wanted it to be a much more organic book. And I think that that is how you actually weave a lot of those themes in. You just have to do them very subtly. And sometimes people catch it and sometimes they don't. It just depends on,
Yeah.
I think, where their head's at the time.
Yeah, that's what made it interesting too, because every single page had so much to deal with, and that kept your brain thinking 24/7. You're like, oh, so this is happening. Why is that happening? And I remember finishing it in 2 days. I binge read it basically. So that's that. Um, Coming to your writing, what's your writing process like? And where do you write? Because this is one of my favorite questions to ask every author. It's just very interesting
Yeah.
to see how they create magic.
You know, I have always written from my bed, and I just prop up
Oh,
my pillows in the back, and I have my
yeah,
bed table, and I put my laptop on it, and I have my chai in the morning, and then I just
perfect.
start writing. So, you know, sometimes I am rereading or rewriting something I have written the day before. That's usually how I start, is I read something I wrote the day before. And that gets me back into the world and back into the characters, and it gets really
Right.
easy to continue from there. If I feel like, okay, I'm not quite sure if this scene is working, I'm not quite sure if I've got the dialogue correct, then what I do is I go on to, you know, I get out of bed and I put on my,
Hmm.
you know, workout clothes, and then I go walking. So I go walking, or I'll go
Okay.
for a bike ride. And you know, when we could go for a swim at the pool, then you know, I would go for a swim. And I find that movement helps a lot. If I ever feel like I really need to get the scene moving or the characters moving in a direction, then that really helps me make that happen. And I carry my phone with me, and I use my recorder on the phone. If an idea comes to me, I just record it right away, and then later on I'll transcribe it, you know, onto my
Right.
laptop. Um, so I don't write longhand, but I make a lot of notes longhand. Like, for example, like here is, you know, here's something that I'm looking at. So right now, as I'm finishing the edits on the sequel, I am writing things down in longhand about things that I need to pay attention to, or I need to look at
Yeah.
again, or maybe there's a character that I have forgotten to talk about in a while. So I'll make
Yeah.
those kind of notes and make sure that I go back to that. Um, let's see. And I reread and rewrite so many scenes over and over and over. And I really thought, I think when I first started writing, I thought that if you just start writing and you just continue with it, that
Yeah.
somehow that is the book. And I learned through the process that that is never the book. Your first draft, your second draft, your third draft, those are never the right drafts. What you're reading in The Henna Artist is probably my 30th draft of the book,
Wow.
given all of the scenes that I had to rework and characters that I had to go deeper into and so on. So there is a lot of rewriting that
Lot of
happens.
work.
Right?
Oh my God. Yeah. Do you write first thing in the morning, or do you stay up late at night to write?
I have done both, but I actually prefer to write after I have woken up a little bit. It takes me a couple of hours to wake up. I remember, you know, when I was growing up, my my brothers would often come into my bedroom to wake me up because I had to get up to go to school, right? And I have never
Yeah.
been a morning person. And they would
Oh,
actually
same.
throw glasses of water in my face just to wake me up because it was really hard for them
It,
to wake me up at six
yeah.
o'clock in the morning. I prefer to write in the afternoon or later in the evening. And sometimes I have stayed up really late to write because it's so quiet at nighttime and there's no other noise in the room, and I can just let my imagination go wild. And I prefer not to have any music or anything playing in the background because that is, to me, is really distracting.
So what kind of a writer are you? Does plot come to you first, or do you think about the characters? How do you go about it?
I think for me, actually, I think it happens simultaneously. For
Okay.
example, in the henna artist, I think the first scene that came to me was the one with Parvati and Lakshmi in Parvati's bedroom, and Lakshmi is painting the fig and the wasp on Parvati's
Yeah.
foot. And I thought, what kind of conversation are they having? And what does Lakshmi want in this scene? So every single scene that you put in a book has to have a purpose. You don't put a scene in a book if it's just two people saying hello to each other and how are you doing, and then
Yeah.
they leave. You have to have a scene in a book that actually accomplishes something. So I had to figure out, what are they trying to accomplish in this scene? So then we know that Lakshmi, what she's trying to accomplish is she's trying to get a marriage commission out of Parvati. And what is Parvati trying to accomplish? Parvati wants to make sure that her sons are going to get the best business matches
Business.
for their weddings, right?
Yeah.
Parvati also wants to seduce her own husband. She wants to make sure her husband stays with her all this time. So, that's something that Lakshmi is going to try to help her with by painting a henna that is going to allow for an amorous afternoon with Samir.
With the, yeah. I
Well,
think those little details were what kept me hooked throughout, because you've paid so much attention to the intentions all the characters have and why they are there. There are a lot of things that I read initially that made sense when I flipped the last page. And I was like, oh, now I see why that character was introduced or why that happened.
yeah. Well, one of the things that people keep asking me is what's going to happen to the characters now that the henna artist is over. They're so curious about what's going to happen between Lakshmi and Dr. Kumar. And what I have to say is that there are 2 sequels coming, which is something I hadn't anticipated, but the characters will not leave me alone. So the first sequel is coming out in July, and that is focused on Malik as a 20-year-old. And then the second sequel is going to come out probably a couple of years after that, and that will be focused on Radha as an adult. So I'm really excited because I think it's all going to be super, super fun.
Was coming out, I wanted to speak from the rooftops because I needed answers and I needed closure. So I was very happy the sequel was coming out. And I'm also reading comments and everyone's really excited about the sequel that's coming.
Yeah. Let's see. So somebody says, are we going to see shades of gray in Lakshmi in the series? Oh, yeah, I'm sure you will.
Did you have a sequel in mind when you were writing the henna artist?
When I first started doing the henna artist, no, I did not have a sequel in mind. When I first started, it was really just all about Lakshmi, and it took me 10 years to get the first book written. So once that was done, I could actually start moving on to another project. And when I moved on to the other project, I think Malik kept knocking at my head saying, I really want to tell my story. So make me the star of this next one, okay? But of course, Lakshmi is in every single book. Lakshmi is the center of these people's worlds, and Lakshmi has created her own family, regardless of the fact that she hasn't had her own children. Now Radha and Malik are part of her family, and that continues throughout the 3 books. Now I'm really excited about the TV series that's being developed.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really fun, and hopefully I will have a chance as an executive producer to affect the scenes and the character development and so on. I think that's going to be really fun.
Always, because normally TV shows get a little underwhelming, but now that you will be a part of it, we know the book to movie adaptation is going to be great.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you so much, Shumaila, for this opportunity to talk to you. I really appreciate it. And you know, as I know more about the screen adaptation and about the sequels, I will be posting them on my Instagram as well as in my, you know, on Facebook and all kinds of, and my website, thehennaartist.com. But I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to your friends and your readers about the book. I'm just delighted that people around the world are reading the book and buying it and really interested in, you know, how Lakshmi's life pans out.
To those of you who haven't read the book, you know where to get the book before the sequel comes out and before the TV show comes out. To make sure you tag Alka, you write reviews, and also to leave all the reviews on Goodreads and Amazon.
Yeah. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Let's do this again.
Yes, sure. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for listening.